Hello. Okay, so this is the first actual podcast as far as any meaningful content goes. Today I am going to talk about jashin prayer, incantations, evocations, whatever name you want to call them by. It's basically all the same anyway. A prayer or incantation, etc. in jashin can mean something different for every different person. To somebody who follows a more energetic practice, somebody who believes that jashin is merely the manifestation of a high amount of concentrated energy, somebody who kind of views it with a more Wiccan point of view, I guess you could say, may view jashin prayer as merely an evocation of energy, as saying certain words to bring about certain energies, certain events, so in other words, it's more like a spell. But there's also those who may view it as a sort of luck-bringing thing. Somebody who doesn't even view it as a bringing of energy, but more as sort of a putting themselves in a state of mind, as a meditation. In saying certain words, some people may be able to bring themselves to a certain type of focus, a certain state of mind. For example, somebody getting ready to take a test may say certain words as a little quote-unquote prayer, and put themselves in the state of mind that they will succeed at whatever test it is they're taking, and thus they will succeed at their test through this state of mind that they've put themselves in. The more common, at least I think it's more common, way of viewing it would be a more prayer-like scenario, viewing jashin as a sort of entity, whether he be more of a poltergeist-like energy, as a physical I wouldn't say physical, but spiritual manifestation of every energy that involves pain or endurance or hardship or anything, all of these concepts manifesting themselves in the form of an entity, or whether he be the type of entity that is actually a conscious being, something, a god of sorts. Everyone views jashin a bit differently, and if you view him as more of a god of sorts, and I say him, not that jashin specifically has a gender, but more of the fact that he represents more masculine concepts, so whether he is a god or an energy or whatever you choose to view jashin as, he is representative of more masculine concepts, though there are those little tidbits of feminine air. So basically the way I view it is that, God or not, any spiritual entity cannot have a specific gender, but more of a dominant gender. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If you view him as a god, as a conscious living entity, then you will view prayer more as, well, prayer. It will be more like speaking to jashin, speaking to him directly, asking for this entity's assistance, or thanking this entity for previous assistance. So, exactly, depending on how you view it, may depend how it is performed. Because if you view it as being merely speaking to an energy, evoking an energy, you may say words more along the line. Now, these words, can be said in any language. I use Latin, usually. Japanese sometimes when I practice with my co-founders, because they prefer Japanese at some of them. But I personally, in personal prayer evocation, use Latin. But the English words you should say, if you believe that jashin is an energy, if he is the manifestation of these concepts, the manifestation of these energies, sort of how Amida Buddha in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism is viewed. If you believe in him in that point of view, then you would say words along the lines of, grant me energy and strength. You're not saying it as a request to a being, so it's not, jashin, grant me energy and strength. It is, grant me energy and strength, just that. It would be using your rosary, using your symbols, whatever you choose to use as an object for spiritual connection with these energies. You would say, grant me energy to pass a test, grant me energy and strength to get through the hard day today, or something along those lines, because it is an evocation of energy. And however you wish to do it, I mean, if you choose to do it in a more spell or rhyming matter, make yourself sound like an old witch, you can go ahead and do that too. I mean, it's all up to personal preference. I usually keep it simple. I keep it practical. I use Latin, which makes it seem more deep, more mystic, more magical, I guess you could say to me. It's less of a common thing. I mean, to me, if I'm just speaking in words, in English, in my normal tongue, if I'm just speaking in that way, then it's really not anymore, at least subconsciously, it's not any more spiritual, any more special than just saying hello to family or greeting a friend on the street. It's really no more special than that. And I use Latin because Latin is a very old, a very ancient, a very rooted, and a very magical language. So to use Latin, to me, makes it seem more like I am actually saying something special. I'm not just spitting out words. I am actually saying something that is magical, that is rooted, that is special, that is meaningful. But, it's all up to personal preference. That's one of the great things about Jashin-kyo, is that it's not a very strict dogmatic religion. There isn't anyone saying you have to do this and you have to do it a certain way or else you will be cursed by God, There's nothing like that. This is a lifestyle, this is a philosophy, this is the magic, this is the belief that we hold. However, you can modify it, transform it, and use it however benefits you, because that's what religion is for, right? It is to benefit you, it is to help you, it is to give you something to rely on, something to feel good about, something to practice. And if you can't rely on it and feel good about it and practice it and have it benefit you, then there's really no point to it at all. So whatever works for you is what you should do, not whatever anyone else does. I mean, if I go around wearing complete ritual robes every day, praying to Jashin as an utter entity and God, and dedicating my entire life to it, that does not mean that you have to do that. I mean, I don't even do that. But if I did, that doesn't mean that anyone else has to, because it is entirely up to personal practice. It is a personal practice. That's all there is to it. So, if you choose to say your incantation to Jashin in Spanish or Yugoslavian or any language you want, or in any way you want, in any words you want, in saying it aloud, saying it in your head, not even saying anything at all and just thinking about the idea, it's whatever works. But to give you a general idea, there are some, I guess you could say, basic prayers, some things that are foundational. I use them. However, many times I will change them. I will modify them to my own personal use at that time. I mean, if I need something for a certain circumstance, then I will modify whatever I'm saying to that circumstance.